So a couple weeks ago, I took part in All Nighter 3, which is where a bunch of producers come together and they all make tracks in 24 hours. That's why it's called All Nighter 3. So I made a track with Eli and Noor, and I teased it in one of my recent videos about sidechaining, and I got a couple requests on just how we made it, if I could do a breakdown. So I thought we would show how we went about making it, the different drops, the bass sound design, everything, just how a full song like this comes together in such a short time. So yeah, let me bring on the guests. Let's bring on Eli and Noor. Can I round up?
What's up, guys? I'm Eli.
And I'm Noor.
How did the track start? Where did you guys begin?
I remember this pretty vividly. So, when the countdown started and stuff, me and Noor got into a call, immediately, okay, what in that world are we going to make? And I think, we talked about, making house and drum and bass. And we realized that, oh, Dylan wants to make drum and bass. And so let's make something, cool and drum and bassy.
I had this rhythm in mind. I just told Eli oh yeah, this is pretty cool. From that, he just made a cool melody, and then he sent that over, and then I just started messing with it. But he made some drum loop, and then I just started messing around with just sounds.
What is that?
Okay, I can probably find there's this some random vocal sample I found. I was oh, let's see if I can do anything with that, and I just put it to the pitch of whatever it was and just played it. I think that's an octave lower than the original pitch, and I just started putting I put a corpus on it. This rack I used, it's just a compressor and some distortion, just a Haas, just to make it really stereo. So I recorded it into Melodyne, and I messed around and kind of tweaked things, and then it kind of had this.
So what's happening in Melodyne?
I don't know, I used one of the algorithms and just messed around with all the pitches, which gives it the cool little artifacts. So, but yeah, I did that multiple times and changed up the melody. Then I had this one. Then we had another. But yeah, that was just how we started the thing. Eli made this quick little drum loop, and then I was just messing with it, old ideas, and then there's this thing.
That was before All Nighter 2. That was really funny. My parents were at home, so I was screaming and yelling.
So we just took that, and then I sent it back to Eli from there.
Alright, so this is where it started to get funky. Again, what I like to do is I really like to just make a really simple sound and then freeze it down to audio and put on a new track and then mess the audio from there. I can go over some of the processing. This main bass is just a basic serum patch. I legit think it's just it's just the basic shapes with the pitch envelope. It's doing a good bit of slight pitch. And then this is this distortion preset I've been using recently that I made. It's really basic. It's just a soft clip kind of. It just makes things nice and crunchy, I'd say. After I resampled that down to audio, I kind of did some little fades on it, and then I added this plugin I like a lot called Denies Noise 2. It's erosion, but you can choose different types of noises, and you can add a decay to it. It's a OP erosion, I guess. It's kind of cool erosion. But I added that noise along with a glue compressor, which is just doing some soft clipping, and then an amp. So the glue compressor soft clips it, and the amp just distorts it even more. Yeah. And then of course there's some compression, there's some sidechain compression going on. As for the pluck as well, I added some fades to make it tighter too.
That's Noor's
and
lead.
This is the lead. Our workflow is interesting. We both were working on the project at the same time, but what he was doing was he was making little elements, and he would render every stem out for me individually, and I put it into Ableton and I work on it from there. So it's kind of an assembly line. I'm doing one thing, he's doing the other, and then we're puzzling it together at the end in the call live. So it's cool. But the processing on this is just mostly EQing and cleaning it up a bit, and then there's a reverb fill that I have. It's really basic. I think Crow did a video kind of similar to this. It's just OTT on the wet track with the reverb, right here is when it kind of comes in. So that's basically like the main parts of the drop. Other than that, the drums are pretty simple. These are some drums that I made a while ago. Just, you know, some like some cool drums. Yeah, let's go. A loop that I chopped up into triplets to make it funky. And then a hat we got going on. And of course,
you made
the
these
boomy
drums.
kick. Yeah, I made these drums.
Sick.
Oh yeah, this is kind of cool. I think this is a saw wave, honestly. No, it's like a Virtuite wave, like a wavetable made out of a Virtuite base, because I was feeling kind of quirky. But let's see. Without processing, it sounds like it's so quiet. And it's like a super tiny little like sound in the background. All the processing does the work. This is just, I guess, just adds overtones. There's this plugin I like a lot called Distroid. It's really good distortion. It's free, by the way. But it has this cool distortion feature called Distortion. I don't know what it does, but it sounds like unique compared to other reverb or other distortions. So there's a phaser doing some phasing things. There's this like liquid racky. All it is just vocoder and disperser, and then more OTT, and then like just the low end cleanup. And there's some EQing. There's some major EQing going on here. A lot of mid increase, chorus, heck yeah, OTT, and a saturator, and then amp. I love amp. It's a really nice distortion unit. If you use it really subtly, then it adds a lot to your sound. But this is like the end result of the bass. And again, more soft clipping and glue compressor. And then I think these right here, let's see. This is literally just, I have the original sample somewhere. It's in my sound design folder. I have like a lot of sound design sessions. As you can see, I have like all these like April, August, June, July, May, whatever sessions where I just go in and make sounds. I take bits and pieces of them and just put them into songs. And in the second part, I added some auto pan here to kind of like, yeah, kind of auto pan it a bit. Oh yeah, the glitches, that's right. In this project file, there's just like this big audio file, just like, yeah, it's just like crazy sounds. What I did here is I went into the main plug, and I don't know if you guys have heard of Glitch Machines, but they make a lot of really cool, crazy plugins. But what I did with this is I just opened up Glitch Machines here, turn it on. I just cycled through presets while playing the audio file and recording it. We got all these crazy sounds out of it, like just out of nowhere. They're always different, but they're all out of this main Bucky sound. But yeah, that's about it. I recorded that to a separate track, and I just chopped up what I liked. So it was just this kind of stuff right here. Little kind of pluggies.
Cool.
Yeah. And then all together, it sounds like. Like those small kind of vocal chops really add a lot to the quality of the track. It makes it more interesting. Whatever Nora did with my voice, like that weird audio file me like spazzing out and going crazy. This became this little fill. And all that is grain delay, which is being automated up. I think you can like see it on this. Yeah, it's just the pitch of the grain delay being automated up and the feedback or the frequency down some. And I just took that and I just chopped it up a bit, and the volume's being automated and stuff, so kind of makes it more interesting. And the rest of the things in here are just background noise, like hats, kind of quiet little things. But yeah, that's basically it. I think I added some like risers in here, but everything else is.
This is a kind of unconventional like D&B intro. I think I just used some like a bunch of like random samples. Like I have like another drum group. But yeah, so this is really cool. This is like a stompy kind of kick. And what I did is just chopped up so like it sounds like it's like kind of rumbling. Like this is just the original sample, but like I just chopped it up around so it's just it gives it like a cool kind of rhythm. Then I think this is just some like, it's like a random loop I just found. I just kind of just chopped it up and just put it around. Here's something I kind of been doing a lot, just putting just some white noise. Oh yeah, these are just basses like Eli made. I was like struggling to like sound design on like All Nighter, so I just used his like some of his like own basses just chuck them in there.
From my sample pack. Let's go.
Shut up.
Where can we find that sample pack?
On my SoundCloud page, there's a link to it.
So now this is kind of like just some like more elements coming like this thing, which is just I
That's
think
cool.
some. I use samplers a lot. I try to like resample stuff, like find cool things. Like this is just like I think some. I don't know. That might be like a default Ableton thing. I have no idea. It's just I found it and it's like oh. I like find the root pitch and then I change that. So that's what the tune is for.
Yeah.
EQ is just cutting out the lows or whatever. I think reduce ambience is like a cool Ableton like multi-band compressor preset. It kind of just gets rid of some like background noise. I think it was like getting rid of that reverb in the background. I don't know why there's another tuner. That was probably a mistake. That's just the delay to create space, and then this is just making it a bit more mono, which is a pretty cool technique, kind of playing with space and like putting some things in like the stereos, like more stereo, like more mono. What is this? Oh yeah, that's just like
Detune Saw.
let's see. Yeah, detune really is. It's just 9 voices and that's it. Folk Convolver, which is just
Whoa.
that's like a recording of like my closet. I like clapped in my closet as like an impulse, and it just adds to the sound.
Like reverb, essentially.
Yeah, folk Convolver is convolution reverb, which is just like reverb, but you can make your own. This erosion, it's just on sine. Oh yeah, multipass. This kind of like I've got like some distortion going on, resonator, house, ring mod. So this all kind of just adds to the sound. I think that ring mod is doing a lot. Kind of just makes it really like squishy, but that's a kind of big part of the sound. Saturator, I'm really saturating that. What the hell? The bass is at 36, but that's pretty like just distorted. Again, the Joshua rack, it's just OTT. It's just like a simple like lazy thing to just add compression. Like it just compresses it and adds like more highs. I've got another saturator going on, another one to add even more distortion. Oh yeah, added a gate because there's like that OTT feedback and I didn't like that,
Yeah.
so I had to get rid of that. And then another utility to like make it more mono. There's that sound. This is just like a sub with like an erosion on it. I think it might have like a bit of a pitch envelope, some soft clipping.
Light a fire.
We wanted to like have like a kind of anthem kind of feel. We in the All Nighter team, we kind of like were discussing it, and then we just like Dylan just wrote some like quick lyrics and like, oh, that's good enough, and so I kind of just recorded those because.
Light a fire.
So I think this is
Light a fire.
Dylan's like original thing.
Light a fire. Get
It was
higher.
used?
Yeah, I laid it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just chopped it. Yeah, I chopped it up a
On
little
I
fire.
didn't
bit.
know it was in the
Get
song.
higher.
You're in the song and you're rapping.
Light a fire.
A lot of the vocals on this, I kind of have to put on like an accent and come.
Get higher. Loud music is all I.
This is a rack I made.
Light a fire.
It's just a little kind of. It's a vocal processing rack. It's fairly simple. I just use it to.
Light a fire.
It's just like a little bit of compression and like just reduce ambience to get rid of the noise.
Light a fire.
There's a bit of auto tune happening with auto pitch.
Light a fire. Get higher.
Not that noticeable, but it kind of adds a bit of a difference.
Light a fire.
What is this?
Get high.
Just cutting out the lows.
Light a fire.
Oh yeah, this is like soft clipping it, just so it stands out in the mix and comes off like a bit more aggressive.
Light a fire. Get higher.
This is another saturator, which is probably pretty loud,
Yeah.
but this just warms up the sound a lot more.
Just warms it up a bit more.
Yeah, it warms up a bit more, just a little bit, but.
Light a fire.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more quiet. Then I have some more EQ,
Dire.
cutting out some extra high end delay, but I think that comes in like later.
Dire.
Yeah, it like gets automated up here
Cool.
in the group. So yeah, that's pretty much it for those vocals. I like sung like a bit of a choir thing which I thought was
That
like
was you. I thought it was like a choir pad or something.
that was me. This is like I think after being processed in Melodyne a little bit. Yeah, this is altogether just kind of sound. That's just like that rack again, some reverb, a harsh which just makes it really stereo, some simple EQ cutting out the lows. Oh yeah, this was like just a chorus preset. Oh, this frequency shifter. They turn into rises because it just builds more tension like that. An auto pan. Alright, there's just a simple kind of Rhys, nothing special. Detune saw with like that processing rack. Yeah, this is a cool sound. What is it? Oh man, I don't even remember what this is. I think that was like...
Flute.
No, I think that was a vocal.
Yeah, it was a vocal. You like messed with it in Melodyne.
That's just kind of like playing the melody out through audio samples, audio files, or whatever. And then this is just some kind of basic processing, just compression, flattener. It's a cool preset, and that kind of just got rid of that transient and just flattened the sound. A harsh, just to widen it, some EQ, because it's like really messy. This was like a serum thing. I'm pretty sure it's just another like saw. Yeah, that same saw from before. Like it came from the same sound, but I just tweaked it.
It's so cool because it's just one note, but it sounds like a chord.
Yeah, I can actually get into that. So this is just an erosion, but here's where this is kind of where everything comes from. It's the multipass. So what's happening? Everything's coming from this resonator, which is generating another. I think that's like a G sharp, and I put a macro on it so I can change the pitch. So that is being modulated right here as the melody changes. I see through those lines, but that's just one sound. So that's just, I think that, yeah, that ring mod's probably just beefing up the sound. There's a filter on like the highs. I think I just wanted to get rid of them. Yeah, the Joshua rack, it's just OTT, just some distortion stuff, and then I saturated the beef up the sound. So that's just that sound laid with like a sub. I've been doing this a lot with my subs. I've been adding pitch envelopes to have like a more like thumpy, just transient, which just makes it a lot more impactful. And then this is just, yeah, a clap. So, but yeah, I can get into the main vocals, the Spitfire vocals, hands in the air.
Everybody put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air.
Which, believe it or not, is my voice, and I have the original takes here. Let me take off the processing. This is gonna be a bit cringe, but hey, whatever.
Everybody put your hands in the air.
I sung it in a weird way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, and I put this in Melodyne just like to get the pitches right. And I think I pitched probably 7 semitones.
Everybody put your hands in.
Yeah, there's that original tone again. And I've just like, yeah, I've pitched it up and like messed with it in Melodyne. So then that's how I kind of...
Everybody put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands.
But yeah, that came from...
Everybody put your hands in.
Everybody put your hands
I think that's everything. I think I covered everything.
in the air.
But yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much everything in the intro.
Everybody put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air.
So that was the intro and the jump up sections of the track. Then we get to the part that I mostly focused on. And that's not to say that we just all worked on our different parts, because we were constantly like sending the project back and forth. So everybody contributed to somebody else's like drop and sections as well. For instance, I added a horn sound to the first drop. You're welcome. But then we get to a transition to go from drop 1 to drop 2, and I'm recycling a lot of the elements that were already used in the intro, because that makes a lot of sense, that, you know, you want it to sound quite cohesive, so you're going to use similar elements. For instance, so I'm using the drums again. Bass come from those bass notes from earlier. I stretched them out and add a bunch of echo to them. and like did some automating of the grain size just to get them really strange and textured sounding. Some impacts.
Light a fire, get higher. Loud music is all I desire. Drink gas, spit fire.
I'm starting to add more elements from the actual drop in this build up so that it feels like, okay, we're starting to introduce things that we're going to be hearing later on. This clicky sound, you hear that later on in the track, and so I've put it here in the sort of build up section as well. We also have these very strange vocals. If you've ever seen like my video on Kid, where I talk about these very sort of robot-esque vocals, this is kind of a similar technique here where I'm just making the delay very short, an extremely short amount of time. It becomes like a really metallic sort of sound. I put chords on here and then compressing it a lot. Overdrive it to give it a bit of an overblown sort of speaker sound. I don't know really what I was going for there, but I just did it. I just slapped on effects and like, yeah, just throw things together and see if it works or not. This is like the main thought process behind the whole drop. It's just throw stuff together. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, move on and do something else. Little ping sound. It's just a sine wave. So right before the drop, we get this duh, 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 duh. This is just an M1 preset that I used. It sounds very detuned, and I just made this melody with it. So I got a kick and a snare. I actually had different drums at first, but then Eli replaced them with some other kicks and snare that were similar, just a little bit different. And Eli added this snare. Some extra loops in. This is something that I liked adding to the snare, is this extra delay. The width just turns up. So you get this sort of very interesting rhythm that's very stereo as well. I've set the time to about 50%. Each time it plays, it's randomly pitched. So if I play this, like it's not the same pitch each time, it's a little bit different. A lot of the glitches in this track are all randomized. For instance, in Massive, by using this TRR thing, which is basically just random. So every time you play a new note, it'll take a random value. Just imagine the knobs here, or there, or something. That's what it's doing. Let me get a little bit closer. No! Eventually, I did start to bounce that down to audio. You could choose the best versions of each randomized glitch. And also, it's using this arpeggiator so that it plays a lot of notes in a row. And of course, each of those different notes are going to be randomized as well. So if I just had one. But I'm having it very fast, so it's like... We need the bass as well, drum and bass. I wasn't sure exactly what to do first. I initially just had like one bass held down like a long note, but I kind of liked the rhythm of the bass, so eventually I started to add like an LFO that gives it a very choppy feel. Instead of it just being one held down note. I mean, both could have worked, but I did like the rhythm of it. This is just a regular sub, except the way I make my subs is just by going into the edit tab, drawing harmonics in. If I just made the first one, that would just be a pure sine wave, but I like to add a second and third harmonic here. That makes it a little bit more interesting in my opinion. Add a little bit of white noise. Basically, when you have any white noise and you have it layered with like a subby sound and it's going into distortion, it just gives it a very crispy quality. It's another saturator, erosion. Then we have a layer on top of this bass and it's moving in the exact same direction. All the sounds are really now just doing that rapid motion. I like that because it just makes everything feel kind of like one big sound. A lot of the stuff is just like randomly thrown together. Fat Rack, you can find this on Reddit. It's just a bunch of saturation and compression plugins. They all add up to make a fatter, more squashed sound. The Seinfeld. Oh, that does a lot. Yeah, that makes it kind of squelchy. I'm using Autopan to kind of swap it from left and right. Then this is kind of like the lead on top of the bass. Oh, this one's actually plucky. A lot of this just comes from the mixing. If I was to like turn a lot of this stuff off, it wouldn't sound that impressive at all. It's this really annoying little peep. You can look at the preset, but it doesn't really tell you a lot. Because by turning the frequency down, it becomes a lot less high-pitched. It starts to sound a little bit more like what it really is. Yeah, and then more Seinfeld. This is a very strange distortion, the Seinfeld one. It's almost like a sort of FM in ways. Some reverb to give it space. Nice. And the ozone imager just to make it even wider. There's little like sounds layered over. I like that. Wow. I like that a lot. It sounds quite like a chant. All it is basically just a sawtooth. But then I put on a reverb filter, which changed a lot. Just comb filter and frequency shifter. That's pretty much the two things I was playing with to get those bleeps and bloops. Whoa, that was a cool one. Yep, very similar. Oh, that's just a ping sound layered in there. You're pretty much getting like the full drop here now. Okay, here's a new one. I think this is like the exact same, except now I'm putting the feedback up. Even more unpredictability, and it's quite like a Sophie-esque sound. This was like a different sub, different type of distortion. These little vocal snippets also, there used to be a lot more of them, but they were kind of annoying. Cut out the ones that I did like. And you hardly even hear them, but they're just subtle little things in the background. So you get this weird section where 2 bars, it just goes into a different sort of drum beat. It's just a vocal that's been stretched out. Then we get to this part. This is a new sub, very similar like all the other ones. It's the same wave, same noise, but just different distortion going on. A lot of it's just going to be the effects that I'm using. If I turn this off, it's going to sound like nothing. That's the sound. And it's not like I like make this sound. I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is the sound that I want for my drop. Because that would sound terrible. But I'm kind of working in a circle. Like I was probably at a different sound first. And then I started adding effects to it. Like, oh, and then adding more effects. Yeah, this frequency shifter again does a lot. It does quite a lot. Like without the frequency shifter, the sound would be nothing. Here's that plucky sound from the build-up. Oh yeah, I'm using the LFO part of the frequency shifter just to give it that kind of alarm sort of sound. I think what I did here on this second part is add a phase difference so it sounds different on the left and right speaker. Then just the plucky stuff without any of the siren sounds going on. I just added an extra pad in, which is just a preset for Massive. Yeah, and that literally is the song. That's what we did in 24 hours. Yay! What are the final thoughts on the track and how did it turn out?
I think it turned out pretty good. Yeah, for like 24 hours.
I think it turned out a lot better than expected because honestly I've never made jump up before.
We kind of just went for just a more like jump up kind of fun thing, just to kind of like stand out, and it was just like a bit weird and fun to make. Stream All Night on Spotify. It's out now.
Please buy my sample pack, or else you'll die. It's okay. You're not gonna die. It's fun.
Say bye.
Bye.
If you want to hear this track live, I'm going to be playing a DJ set in Minecraft. Minegala. Will you be there? I don't even know when I'm playing yet, so I'll keep you in the loop. Goodbye.